Hello, everyone. Yesterday, you saw us all at our worst. Now, you will get to see us at our best. So, today we will be talking about what we believe is the best of 2022 movies and maybe some shows and all. But before this, gets too long of an intro, let's get started. So, for me, I will start out at my number 10 for best of the year. I'll probably get shit for this, but I don't care. It's the Bob's Burgers movie. I have been watching the show for years. I want to say since maybe season 4 or 5 premiered. I've been watching it for a while. I don't remember how long I've been watching, but I've been watching it for a while. And my number 10 with Bob's Burgers, I was very happy with what I got in terms of the movie. I went to go see with a friend who was another big Bob's Burgers fan, and I was more than satisfied. It felt like a elongated episode of the show, but in all the right ways. The musical numbers were very few and far between, but worked for what it was going for. All the characters felt like the characters. The animation was obviously given a bit of a boost, actually having like shadows and stuff. Amazing. If I were to choose, I'd probably prefer the Simpsons movie, but with this, I still really love this. I still really love this. I know it may seem silly to a lot of people, but I very much enjoyed the Bob's Burgers movie and was very happy with what I got. Now, for my number 9 pick is Violent Night. Again, might piss some people off. I don't know. But again, it was one of those movies that it's like feed into the madness sort of thing where, you know, uh, Die Hard meets Home Alone meets Die Hard 2. Just a grand old time. It might seem suckish to some people, but I really loved it. Then my number 8 is The Fablemans. As someone who wants to be a filmmaker, I definitely felt very attached to this movie. I love Steven Spielberg. I thought everyone did a magnificent job. The main kid, I don't know, I'm blanking on his name, was phenomenal as Spielberg. As Sammy Fableman. Um, but I hope he does bigger and better things after this because he was a talent. Everyone did a great job. It was definitely weirdly structured, but still a very, very great movie. Then my number 7 is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. The one good Pinocchio movie that came out this year, as we know from last stream about many rants on Disney's version. Guillermo del Toro managed to do just hit every note, while also doing his own thing, while also having spectacular animation. Just Guillermo just once again proving as to why he's such a great filmmaker and is still beloved to this day. Then finally, my number 6 is again might piss some people off in terms of its placement, but Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, I still majorly love this movie. I thought it did a lot of things right. I didn't love it as much as a lot of other people did. I felt that the first 90 or so minutes, while extremely great, felt was missing something, like it was missing a touch. But luckily, in the last 50 minutes, it managed to hit that stride for me and became a much improvement. But with that, I still didn't love it as much as a lot of other people did to put it in my top 5. But still an exceptional, exceptional movie. Devin, you shall start with your 10 to 6.
All right, so I'm gonna try and go through these a little quicker. So my number 10, my number 10 is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. If there was anything good that came out of seeing that pretentious mindfuck pile of garbage men, it was seeing the trailer for this movie. It took a while to come to my theater, and when it did, it exceeded my expectations. It's just a beautiful, funny, sweet, heartwarming movie. The main character is so lovable. The blending of stop motion with live action is just seamless. I love the mockumentary style. It's just a very nice movie. I just loved it. My number 9 is Wendell and Wild. My number 9 is Wendell and Wild. There we go. I I'm so happy Henry Selick is back. I've missed him. He did two of my favorite movies of all time, and he did not skip a beat. His direction, his writing with Jordan Peele was excellent. Stop motion is beautiful. Um, Characters, again, the characters are likable. The story is great. I love the soundtrack. It's it's just an awesome movie, and I hope he doesn't take a long absence because I'd be kind of sad. My number 8 is Pearl, the superior prequel to X. Like Mia Goth did, and Ty West made a character that I felt not only afraid of, but also just felt sorry for. Just it's a great character study. There's so many amazing scenes, like that argument between Pearl and her mother. It just get it. I'm on the edge of my seat because while I admit, yes, Pearl's mom's a bitch, I can see where she's coming from. And then you have that excellent monologue Mia Goth gives at the end. It's just brilliant. Absolutely loved it. My number 7 is the best animated movie of the year, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Just such a beautiful movie. If you could tell from my picks, you know I'm a sucker for stop motion animation, and this is some of the best stop. And this is easily some of the best stop motion I've ever seen. So much care put into it. I love how it's more Geppetto's story of him learning how to be a father again. I love the themes of fascism and war. The songs are great, and it was hilarious seeing Pinocchio roast Mussolini. And my number 6 is Prey. Finally, a good fucking Predator movie. We haven't seen one of those in a while. This is how you do female empowerment. This is how you do a strong character. The Predator in this movie is badass and intimidating. Like, just seeing him kill a bear and then drink its blood is one of the most badass things I've ever seen. Give me more Predator movies like this. Like the Predator fighting pirates or Vikings or Nazis. More stuff like this and less like the Predator. That's my 10 through 6.
Okay, so my 10 through 6. So starting at my number 10 is a Netflix movie, Emily the Criminal, coming from someone who has been in the situation where I was struggling financially and had to work like a small as an independent contractor, as a food delivery driver. This is something that I totally understand. Even though I've never done anything illegal, but I do understand the themes of how capitalism is just running people to the ground, like and it's causing people to resort to doing like illegal activities, and it's something it's honestly just a great movie overall. So my number 9 is one that nobody here has heard of, but fuck it. Papa the Cinephile, an underrated anime film. As some of you guys already know, I am a big anime fan. Yes, insert your weeb jokes here. But this is honestly, I love this movie so much. It's about the process of filmmaking. It has really likable characters, great animation. It does have a good balance between like down to earth and the exaggerated anime, and it just talks about the kind of hell that a first-time director would kind of go through. My number 8 would actually be Top Gun Maverick, and I'm pretty sure this is a lot higher on most of your lists, and honestly, I don't blame you. As someone who does find the original 80s one kind of overrated, I mean, it's still fun on its own, but I don't consider it an 80s classic. But this one is just knocks the first one out of the park with its great characters. I do like the dynamics um, between Maverick and Goose's son, Rooster. I think it's and don't tell me that you didn't cry at the end with the scenes of Maverick and Iceman Val Kilmer. So, but this is just one movie you got to check out. Number 7 is one that I'm pretty sure you all saw coming. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This is easily the best, in my opinion, the best video game based movie, coming from a team who cares about this franchise, who respects its characters, respects its lore, and most importantly, respects its fans, which is something that many other video game movies, and hell, even a lot of comic book movies, don't seem to get. This is honestly the most fun I've had all year. If you want me to go in detail, check out my review at the right dude. Just check out my review. And my number 6 would be The Black Phone. So this is easily the best horror film I have seen all year. It's got a great chilling story. It's got great performances, especially from Ethan Hawke as the grabber, and it just shows like a great homage to like a lot of Stephen King stories. So yeah, that's my 10 through 6.
Mark, you're up.
Okay, so my number 10 is Pearl. And I'm going to go ahead and give you my number 9 as well, because those two kind of go together. My number 9 is X. It might be a little controversial there, putting X above Pearl, but I just kind of like the interaction between the characters. In X, I mean, they're both extremely good to me. If Mia Goth does not get a nomination for Best Actress, then she has been robbed. My number 8 is The Northman. Robert Eggers does it again. It's nothing more need to be said there. My number 7 is Nope. Jordan Peele does it again. Again, nothing more needs to be said there. And finally, number 6, The Fabelmans. Steven Spielberg does it again. So that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
All right. Quick disclaimer, considering that I have not seen as many movies as all these 4 men in here, I unfortunately have a shorter list, so I'm going to be going from 8 to 5. Is that a good 8 to 4?
Just go 8 to 6.
8 to 6.
So we
8 to
can do all
6.
of our 5s.
All right. So 8 to 6. So for my top 8 movies of the year, coming at number 8, which is surprising considering how much shit I gave this movie, Avatar 2. Even though I have my problems with Avatar 2, it was either this or Jurassic World Dominion. I chose the latter. I think Avatar 2, as much as many problems as it has, I still think it is a solid movie. And it's, even though I think its predecessor is far better than the sequel, it still is a solid movie. So I have that at number 8. Number 7, and surprisingly, even though this is not a full-length feature film, I still think this is a really good one, which is Werewolf by Night. I was very surprised when I found this short film to be very good, because considering how bad Phase 4 has been, Werewolf by Night was a pleasant surprise. I think this was a wake-up call for the MCU, especially for Disney, to show more mature movies and very considering it wasn't as violent as Daredevil, it still was pretty violent. I thought that the whole black and white aspect of it was very interesting and it was very impressive, and I feel like Marvel should intertwine and experiment with this more. At number 6, and this is also a very controversial pick, but I have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And another movie that I have problems with, but at the same time, if you look at it from a filmmaking aspect and from a dialogue and story-wise aspect, I still think it is a pretty solid film. although I was disappointed with the multiverse aspect of this movie, I still think it is a good movie and a good character study, diving into the mind of Doctor Strange. And it simply asks us the question, are you happy? I think Sam Raimi returning to another comic book film is great because he definitely, you can tell immediately from the first shot of the film that it's a Sam Raimi movie. The camera movements, the cinematography, the lighting, everything about the movie was really great. Considering that his first feature film was The Evil Dead, considering he came from Evil Dead to now, shows you how great of a filmmaker he is, and he really deserves a lot of love and praise for his filmmaking and his style. But that is my 3 movies so far, and back to John with his top 5.
Well, before we get there, unfortunately, our friend Rome could not join us. He got a little bit trapped at work, but I will be saying his 10 through 6 just very quickly because I don't know his like specific opinions on them and he didn't give me like phrases to say. So, Rome's number 10 is The Fablemans. Rome's number 9 is The Whale. Rome's number 8, unsurprisingly, Everything Everywhere All at Once. His number 7 is Prey. And then finally, his number 6 is The Black Phone. So that is it for Rome's list. And now we will go into all of our number 5s, all of our number 4s, then 3, then 2, then finally our favorite of the year. So obviously, I go first. And my number 5, it has already been mentioned, and it is Prey. Now, I'm not the biggest Predator fan. I've only seen the first one, and while it is very great, I think it's a little tad overrated. But with that, I really loved Prey. In terms of the two big like alien sort of franchises, in terms of what franchise gave us the better prequel, I would say Prey is definitely a lot better than Prometheus, but that's just my personal opinion. Prey, as as Devin said, it's brutal. It's the action is excellent. You see the character really grow over the course of the movie, and all the idiots that were saying she was a dumbass Mary Sue are just wrong, because they just want to complain about shit and not actually, watch the movie and see that she actually was pretty terrible as a warrior at the beginning of the movie, and it's through various tactics and various and what she does know that she comes out on top and actually defeats the predator. um if I were to say anything bad about it, I guess it does kind of break some continuity with like making Alien versus Predator kind of moot and retcons that, but I mean, it's Alien versus Predator. Were we really upset by that? But despite this, I thought the main girl, I forget her name. She was in one of my favorite shows of all time, Legion.
Naru.
No, the actress.
Mid Thunder is her last name.
Amber
Yes,
Midthunder.
Amber Midthunder. Yes. Thank you. She was great. Obviously, as I said, she was excellent in Legion, and she was excellent here. I hope she's in more stuff because she is an absolutely wonderful talent, and I thought she did a lot of specific like facial stuff, and I thought she just really did that. She just really carries the movie, and she is great. Love the design of the new Predator, and by new I mean old. Like it does look more like a primal version, but they did it in a way that like he's still far beyond. They're still far beyond what we know of in the future, obviously. Like shooting like bolts, like mechanical bolts instead of like the laser cannon and that kind of thing. That was all really fucking cool. Dan Trachtenberg, he hit it out of the park with 10 Cloverfield Lane, and once again he hit it out of the park here by making prequels to franchises that have been in the shitter for a while. So with that, I would say Prey, definitely great, definitely a lot better than people make it out to be, and just an overall really fun and great time. Devin.
All right, so my number 5 is easily the best horror movie we've gotten all year, The Black Phone. See Robert Cargill and Scott Derrickson do it again with another scary and suspenseful movie. This movie is scary as fuck. It had me shaking in suspense from the word go. The scares, atmosphere are super effective. It knows how to do jump scares, unlike fucking Smile, which only relied on jump scares. This knows how to use jump scares. There's no fake outs. The writing is excellent. Every scene is filled with suspense and dread. Acting is spectacular, especially the actors who played Madeline McGraw as Gwen, and Mason Thames as Finney, and especially Ethan Hawke as the Grabber. The siblings have great chemistry with each other. They feel like an actual brother and sister. Hawke is terrifying and has my heart beating every time, like in fear. Especially the one scene where he's just sitting there. He's sitting there shirtless and he's got a belt in his hand. There is just something creepy about that shot. And it all and everything comes together in the end. Like all those clues he was getting from all the ghosts on how to escape, they all come together, and this is easily one of the most satisfying endings to a horror movie I've ever seen. And I'm one of those people that's starting to get sick of what most horror movies are doing nowadays with the generic abrupt ending where the villain wins. And I'm glad this movie didn't do that. Every time I watch this movie, I love it even more. I love the menu and Pearl, but this, nothing topped this. And that's my number 5.
Okay. All right. So my number 5 is actually one that was mentioned by one of you. And it would be Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I mean, this is just such a wonderful, heartwarming tale about a lone shell that is only an inch long, lives with his grandmother and at an Airbnb house, and the rest of his family is taken, and he's trying to get a lot of attention, trying to get all he cares about is bringing his family back. It's kind of like a small documentary, like a little mockumentary. The stop motion is great. Jenny Slate just does an excellent job voicing Marcel. It explores the shell's life with the guy who's renting the house and just recording everything. And you could tell that these things have great chemistry. And I know that's a little weird, me saying that a guy, it has great chemistry with a shell that's only an inch long but I mean, it works really wonderful here. And the ending, I'm not going to spoil it because I really highly recommend seeing this movie, but the ending, you will be in tears. I guarantee it. So just like another film that we'll get to later, but this is just a fascinating film. I highly recommend it. So yeah, Marcel the Shell Shoes On.
Okay, so my number 5 is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I was tempted to make this my number 1 just to parallel the interesting parallel to my number 1 worst, Disney's Pinocchio, because there's no way to talk about one without the other. But this film is everything that film is not. Guillermo del Toro, of course, he gave it his own style, his own spin. Rather than using CGI, he actually used stop motion animation, and rather than trying to copy the look of the original, he gave it his own unique look. Gave it its own unique look that suited the story he was trying to tell. He both captured the spirit of the original while putting his own spin on it and doing its own thing. I love the twist that this wasn't. He said that this wasn't so much Pinocchio. It wasn't so much Pinocchio who needed to be redeemed. It was Geppetto, because I love he put so much into Geppetto's backstory. You saw the pain of losing his family. It wasn't just mentioned, referenced, or used as a joke. And the way he did a really dark scene, the way when he gets drunk and chops down the tree that grew from that was planted by his son, um, and makes Pinocchio. You can see his real pain there, the way it's resolved at the end. Guillermo del Toro said that he believed that this movie is about how parents learn more from their children than they ever learn from us, and it's an excellent film. I love the setting in fascist Italy, where he emphasizes that point, talks about the virtues of disobedience, the way he makes fun of Mussolini, and the way he actually disobeys his father to go out and try to save his father. And it's just really a beautiful film. So any one of my this film was the most emotional film of the year to me. So I really loved it. So 5 stars for me.
Now, this next pick is very interesting.
So,
the argument, Jay.
Let me provide backstory as to back in July, back in the 4th of July weekend, I was supposed to see Thor: Love and Thunder with my cousins. We were supposed to see Thor: Love and Thunder with my cousins until one of my younger cousins decides, let's see said movie. I watched it, and I cannot tell you how satisfied I was to say that I'm glad I saw Minions: The Rise of Gru over Thor: Love and Thunder, because I could not be more satisfied in my entire life. This movie was definitely entertaining. It was funny. I enjoyed watching I enjoyed watching Steve Carell play Gru yet again. I think that his dynamic with the Minions was also very, it was funny. I thought the callbacks to the old Despicable Me movies were great. However, I would like to address one plot hole that Vector is now apparently the same age as Gru, when it was apparent that in the first movie Gru was way older than Vector. But that's not the point. The point is, I think this movie was very entertaining. Yes, was the first one kind of bad? It was. And yes, are we getting sick and tired of the whole Minions trope? Yes, but at the same time, this movie was very solid. It was funny. It's one of the few movies in 2022 that made me laugh out of my seat. I enjoyed watching it. It was just very entertaining, and yeah, it may not be everyone's choice, but it's definitely my choice. And Minions: The Rise of Gru is a great movie, summer movie for kids and everyone alike. So yeah.
All right, I'll give you that. Without having seen the movie, I can guarantee it's better than Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah,
I'll admit
that, and I hate Illumination.
Same here.
Before we move on though to our number 4, I want to give Rome's number 5, and that is Girl in the Picture. No idea what this movie is. No idea what it's about.
I don't know.
It's Rome's number 5. Maybe once he gets back from work, he could comment and what the fuck this movie's even about. But yeah, and before I also move on to our number 4s, just wanted to say hello to Zach and say hello to Austin. So now we shall move on to the number 4s. So my number 4, I'm kind of surprised that people didn't have this on their list because we all seem to really love it. But I guess I shall be the champion for Weird the Al Yankovic Story. Now, he who is tired of Weird Al is tired of life. I love this movie from top to bottom. Daniel Radcliffe does such a great job as Weird Al, Toby Huss as the overbearing father that shits on his dreams, Evan Rachel Wood as the deviant Madonna, and everyone else was great and hilarious, having that deadpan expression that Leslie Nielsen did so fucking perfectly by everyone involved was brilliant. So many comedies nowadays have to explain the joke or have Whedon-esque quips that are like, this is so out of the ordinary, right? But this never goes down that road, and I am thankful for it. How it lampoons so many cliches almost perfectly just goes to show that no matter what medium, Weird Al is the parody master. He could probably make a goddamn Broadway musical and a TV show and he could still make them work. The writing is so on point and has so many little subtleties here and there when it comes to not only his music and music biopics, but just tight writing in general. The music will always be phenomenal because it's Weird fucking Al. Anybody who claims they don't like Al is a fucking liar. Even though they only use a couple of his songs, again, right up music biopics alleys, they were still great to hear, especially with the running joke on Michael Jackson's Beat It. So fucking funny. I keep mentioning the humor and jokes, but they were just so on point. I was laughing my ass off throughout this movie, both times I watched it. It's just so great to finally see a great parody movie. I don't even remember the last truly great parody movie. Maybe, and ironically, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox Story, probably. I haven't seen it, but I have heard good things. I mean, there have been a couple decent ones that don't belong to Friedberg and Seltzer, like They Came Together and Not Another Teen Movie, but nothing amazing. This, however, is. It just goes to show that the only man that could step in and put parody movies on the right path again was the man who has been the parody music expert for over 40 years. Hopefully, this is a sign that both parodies and music biopics will be better after this, but probably not. Oh well. So, watch fucking Weird, the Al Yankovic story. Show some goddamn love to Weird Al because Weird Al is a fucking amazing.
All I have to say is this. I bought on eBay.
Tell me why.
Well,
Bye.
Okay, that was terrible. Anyway, before we all, get smooth grooved, let's move on to Devin's number 4.
Okay, my number four is Top Gun Maverick. I enjoy the first Top Gun. I don't love it. I mean, I think it's a fun 80s movie, but it's not my favorite 80s movie. This is an example of a sequel that's better than the original. The story of this movie won me over. It's much more interesting with Maverick trying to figure out where he truly belongs and him training these new recruits. Acting's fantastic. It was great seeing Val Kilmer back. It was great seeing Tom Cruise back. And I also, it's a bit of a controversial take, but I've never been a big fan of Jennifer Connelly as an actress, and I actually liked her in this movie. The new characters, they're all likable. They have great chemistry with each other. And seeing them all interact with each other was great. Score is fantastic. Soundtrack is great. The air scenes are so much fun. And the ending is so emotional. It's just brilliant. When I think of nostalgia done right, I think of this movie, Cobra Kai, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and despite its flaws, Spider-Man No Way Home. That is how you do nostalgia. And that's my number 5. I mean, my number 4. My bad.
Cobra Kai, yeah!
Yeah!
Cobra Kai.
Never dies.
Bet your ass.
Bet your ass. Okay, so my number 4 is actually one that that I think most of you have already mentioned, and I was kind of surprised it wasn't higher on your list. But my number 4 is The Fabelmans. This is honestly a great telling of Steven Spielberg's his love for filmmaking and his childhood through the eyes of a fictional character. And just like Pompo and another film you'll see later on this list, it is a love letter to filmmaking. Most of the characters are just great. I mean, yeah, the mother, I feel like you weren't really supposed to like her, but I think that's supposed to be the point. The acting is wonderful, and I honestly would be shocked if no one got any acting nomination at the Oscars. But then again, the Oscars can be a joke. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, I guess.
They are.
Huh? Oh, yeah. But, yeah, anyway, the acting is great. From Gabriel LaBelle, Paul Dano, Michelle Williams, and just many more. And even Seth Rogen, who I'm usually not a fan of because he just plays the dumb stoner jokester in all of his comedies. He blew me away with his performance. He was the biggest surprise I've seen when he's able to give like emotion, when he's able to perform. He can really blow you away if given the right material. And I also love the progression, how Samuel Fableman becomes interested. I love how it's always told about between when his love of filmmaking all the way until when he gets his first break, and I also love the family dynamics that he goes through. This is one that I highly, highly recommend for anyone who is really interested in filmmaking. So yeah, number 4, The Fablemans. Go on.
Okay, my number 4 is Tar. I'm a sucker for a really complex film, and Tar has that in spades. It is a complex and challenging character study that serves as a Rorschach test of sorts for its viewers, a mirror, if you will, that tells you more about yourself than it does about the film or the character. It provides no easy answers. It gives you just enough information to let you draw your own conclusions. And whatever you think about Tar, you're right. So it's like, for example, I watched it twice just to see, and got it, like, for example, the famous scene rather, where she upbraids a student, a bi person of color, and non-binary, for being dismissive of Bach. He says he cannot relate to Bach because as a bi person, non-binary bi person of color, he cannot relate to him. She goes on to upbraid him for it, and at first, you can read it as, okay, she's upbraiding him for being narrow-minded. She's criticizing cancel culture. Watched it again from the point of view of a teacher. She was actually in the wrong there. Not completely wrong, but at the same time, you never embarrass a student in front of a class. You just don't do that. At the same, so you can pretty much watch it many times and get something completely different out of it each time, and just notice things on the second viewing that I completely missed the first time. Such as, for example, when she sees the one young girl in the bathroom before the auditions for the cellist part, and during the actual auditions, she sees those same boots she saw walking up the side. And she starts making her little notes. So you can tell just how much she really is it gives you enough information to suggest that maybe she really is manipulating and these young girls, these beautiful, pretty young girls, at the same time, without actually going out and shoving it in your face. So, some people you could draw a conclusion, say she's being set up, saying that it's all a setup, but at the same time, there's a third option, or you could say that she really is that bad, she really is that toxic, or at the same time, there's a third option, it's all in her head. So, this was my award for the most thought-provoking film of the year. So I really appreciated that. So yes, 5 stars.
So another backstory on my next entry. So considering how and not just MCU movies, but a lot of movies in 2022 were terrible attempts at trying to be funny. Yeah, I'm looking at you, She-Hulk. Every movie that I have seen that had to do with MCU, like your Joe Schmo movie, they were terrible as far as comedy. And when I saw the trailer for said movie, I was very interested from the jump, not just because of Brad Pitt, not just because of the action and the story in this movie, but because of the comedy. Bullet Train was by far the funniest movie that I saw in 2022. I could not stop laughing. I thought that Tangerine and Lemon were the best characters of that entire movie. Their dynamic and their chemistry was off the walls. I thought it was great. I'm very pleasantly surprised that Joey King, of all actresses, was actually good in something, considering that her, the movies that she's been in, albeit the kissing booth movies, your typical rom-coms. I was very pleasantly shocked that Joey King was great in this movie. Brad Pitt was great. He was funny. Sandra Bullock, she was also great in that movie. I think that the premise was very interesting, and it was great. I mean, you have you have your typical action, your gunfights, samurais. You got a bullet train where you're trying to fight. It's like it's like you it's interesting. It's just fun. It's so straight up fun. The cameos in the movie were also funny. It's just the all around great experience. I wish if this movie was 3 hours or 4 hours, I would watch 2 hours more of this movie because it was that great and it was that funny to me. But yes, Bullet Train, I would give it a 8.5 out of 10 because it was that great. Funniest movie that I've seen this last year. Bottom line.
Okay, I disagree,
Yeah.
but that's why.
Yeah,
we're here.
I do really like Bullet Train. I do think the pacing could have been a little better.
Indeed.
Yes. True.
And Mark, what you were saying about Tar, it makes me want to watch the movie again.
It makes me want to watch it, period. Like, damn, I feel like I missed out on something.
It's a really thought-provoking film. Like, I mean, I just reading some reviews, I realized just how much I may have missed. I just looked back at it. It's like,
Yeah,
damn,
that's
there's just
definitely
a
a
lot to
sign of
this
a
film.
good movie.
Oh yeah.
Mark Thompson, ladies and gentlemen. He knows his shit.
The thing is, it's just
Thanks,
like
guys.
if you get something different out of it each time, that's just a sign of a good movie. Like, for example,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Innocence. That's
Yeah.
a great movie that
Exactly.
like you watch it every time and it's something different.
Hereditary
Yeah,
was
and
like
I
that for
really
me.
appreciate that. I love how he's not trying to give you any simple answers. You know, I mean, he
Yeah.
could have made a film that was just criticizing cancel culture, but he's not. I mean, he gives you enough to draw your own conclusions either way. You know, and
Indeed.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Damn,
Oh, yeah.
now I gotta fucking watch this.
Yeah,
But,
Hereditary was
before
is a
we-
movie like that for me.
Before we get to number 3, I'm just going to say Rome's number 4, and that is he joins Rob with his weeb pick, and that is Dragon Ball Superhero. Yay, Rob's not the only one. Congratulations. So that's his pick for number 4.
Really?
And now we move on to our third picks.
What do you mean, really?
Really? Dragon Ball Super. Really?
I don't know. You gotta ask Rome, but he's not here right now, so fucking mention it in the group chat. I don't
Well,
know.
you didn't like it?
Dragon Ball Super really just sucks, in my opinion. But that's just me. It's me. That's just me.
I mean, I'll be honest. Even though I'm a big anime fan, I'm not necessarily the biggest Dragon Ball fan. I mean, I do like the original, but I mean, I think I don't care if the anime community comes out for me, but I think Z is overrated. So
Well, prepare to get flooded with hate mail.
Yep.
I welcome it.
From me.
I welcome it.
I'm joking. I'm not. I'm
Okay.
joking. Everyone who's watching this, please don't spread hate to this man. It's his opinion. We are allowed to have our own opinion. Okay. Don't attack someone. You know what? Yeah. Everyone, don't attack someone for their opinion, please. You attacking
Unless they
somebody
like
for
Thor:
their
Love
own
and Thunder, then please feel free to attack as much as you
Even
want.
if they like Thor: Love and Thunder, like
Or
if
the
you
monsters.
are attacking somebody for their opinion, shame on you. Shame
Well,
on you.
Jay, you know that there's going to be assholes out there that are not going to care.
I
on the
know, but
internet.
still, imagine taking time out of your day to attack someone for their opinion. Do you understand how stupid you look? Wasting time out of your day to, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't mean to make this about me. Just let's go back to the.
No. Anyway, well, let's move on to our number 3s. With my number 3, which has been it has already been mentioned, but The Black Phone. It's safe to say that despite the delays, this movie was certainly worth the wait. It was absolutely fantastic in every way. Almost all the performances in the film were superb, most notably Ethan Hawke, Madeline McGraw, and Mason Thames. I don't know how to pronounce it. However, the rest of the supporting cast were great, with the exception of Jeremy Davies, who I think overplayed the part a bit, but maybe people who had a dysfunctional alcoholic dad can prove me wrong with that. It delivered on an engaging story that managed to equally blend horror, mystery, and thriller. It showcased its era as well, down to the most minute details in terms of societal norms and speech. You definitely see some famous Stephen King hallmarks, as his son wrote the damn source material, like a psychic girl, an alcoholic / abusive parent, the violent bullies, and some anti religious sentiment, as well as the main villain of the piece having an affinity towards balloons, because, as we all know, they do indeed float. I felt it was well paced and well edited, going from a more modern and surreal aesthetic to give a certain reminder to the audience that despite taking place in 1978, still is a modern film. If I had anything negative to say is that the ending was a bit tonally off, but that is such a small nitpick that in the long run it doesn't even matter. I'd also like to state that I feel this was an unintentional fuck you to Marvel with how Derrickson left Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness over creative differences and went on to make one of the best films of the year so far. Meanwhile, this Doctor Strange film we got was good at best, despite a better filmmaker at the helm.
It was
As
a
well as
mess.
Derrickson and Cargill managing to be some of the few people in the horror industry that know how to properly use jump scares, as was mentioned before, as well as the dream sequences reminding me of Prince of Darkness in a way. So yes, Black Phone, exceptional horror film, my favorite of the year, unless you count my number one. Although I don't think that's a horror movie, depending on who you ask. But anyway, moving on to Devin's number 3.
All right, my number 3 is one of 2 comic book movies I actually liked this year, The Batman. I'm the one in the group that will always sing this. I'm one of the few people in this group who will sing this movie's praises, and I will never stop doing it. I fucking adored this movie. Robert Pattinson was amazing as this younger, brutal, inexperienced Batman, and I hope we see more. I hope we see more of Pattinson as Batman in the future. I feel like an asshole for having my doubts about him. I want more of this goth, brooding, moody Batman. He goes through an amazing arc, and I rooted for him every step of the way. Zoe Kravitz, while she's not as great as Michelle Pfeiffer, she was still an amazing Catwoman. She had great chemistry with Pattinson. Jeffrey Wright, awesome as Jim Gordon. Colin Farrell, awesome and unrecognizable as the Penguin. Paul Dano, creepy as fuck as the Riddler. I'm glad we have a darker Riddler in a movie and not a total goofball Riddler. The action scenes, fantastic. The car chase with the Penguin, oh my god, it was so good. The scene at the church and the big fight at Gotham Square Garden, awesome. Michael Giacchino's score is his theme is one of my favorite Batman themes since Danny Elfman's. Absolutely love it. Despite the movie being 3 hours long, it's never boring to me. And I always say, I don't mind a longer movie as long as I'm invested in what's going on, and I was absolutely invested in what was going on. I love how we got to see Batman showing off his detective skills, because what I love about this movie is Batman is not perfect. He's still learning. And hopefully if James Gunn and WB don't scrap Matt Reeves' universe, we get to see more of this. I absolutely loved it. Well, yes, it would have been great to see Affleck's Batman movie. I'm perfectly satisfied with this. It gets better every time I watch it. Yeah.
Can't wait for that Penguin spinoff. And I genuinely mean that. I'm very excited for it with what Colin Farrell has in store for the Penguin.
No habla español.
Okay, so I guess it's
Oh,
my turn.
what are you showing me? What are you
You're
showing me?
Come on!
God.
Oh, look, it's Bat Cop and Batshit Cop.
Oh, look, it's discount Robert De Niro. Oop, did I say that out loud?
Yes, you did.
Whoa. Hold on, settle down, sweetheart.
All right, before we derail this too much, Rob, you're number 3.
All right, so no, my number 3 is not the Batman. instead, ironically, it's actually Clerks 3. Without a doubt, this out of all the films this year in 2022 about the art of filmmaking, this one is easily my favorite. Like I know it's at number 3. Don't worry, we'll get to the other two. But I'm talking about in terms of like movies that are love letters to filmmaking. This one, I think, does a better job, does the best of all of them. And here's the thing: I love the other two Clerks movies, but I will say this: out of the entire trilogy, this one might be my favorite. And it not only is it a love letter to filmmaking, but it's also a love letter to fans of these Clerks movies, and a love letter to fans of Kevin Smith. The friendship between Dante and Randall has never been so powerful. That was the heart of the film for me. We have been following these two guys talking about movies since 1994. And you could tell that both Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson, they have great chemistry. The humor has been cracking me up throughout it. I could not stop laughing with a lot of the jokes that Elias did with him going from like a born again Christian to a born again Satanist. I know that was really funny. And just like I said about Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, the ending will bring you to tears. If you're not at least getting teary-eyed by the end, then I'm just going to assume you're a robot in disguise. I'm just going to say that. And here's the fun fact. I actually did have to drive an hour to go see this movie because it was a Fathom event only. And, Fathom events are Regal exclusive. And my closest Regal theater was an hour away. So I had to do it. I had to reserve my tickets. And let me tell you, the drive was fucking worth it. And I can also say that the Clerks trilogy could pretty much sit on the same shelf as the original Star Wars, Back to the Future, and the Lord of the Rings trilogy as some of the best trilogies in filmmaking.
I need to ask you, Rob, was the theater better than your apartment? Or
Yes.
Are you telling me there's a chance?
Yes, I'm telling you there's a chance. Hey, I was gonna say it's Devin's favorite ad.
What did you do? What did you do?
Honestly, I'll take that shit over fucking Nicole Kidman any day of the fucking week. I don't care what anybody says.
What did you do, bro? What have you done? What have you done?
You were supposed to play it.
What?
The technical difficulties clip.
Oh, it's too late now. You're back.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's too late.
It's too late. You already came back. Sorry. But anyway, before this gets a little bit too long, let's go to Mark's number 3.
Okay. My number 3 movie I deeply love is RRR, the 3-hour Indian epic. This was the most expensive Indian movie of all time in what American dollars would have been $70 million. And in my opinion, it was worth every penny. I'm just going to say it. I love this film. I love the gripping story. I love the fascinating characters. I love the loud, over-the-top action. I love the thrilling singing and the outrageous dancing. Most of all, I just love how bold it is. When asked what he wanted American audiences to know about his 3-hour epic, director S.S. Rajamouli said, "It is an unapologetic relationship between two friends." And that is the perfect description for this film because, one, this friendship between those two friends is the beating heart of the film, and unapologetic is the perfect word that captures the insane fun of this stylized epic. This unapologetic friendship is between two fictionalized portrayals of actual real-life Indian national heroes, early 20th century freedom fighters, Alluri Sitarama Raju, played by Ram Charan, and Komaram Bhim, played by N.T. Rama Rao Jr. This is no sterile documentary, however. Both actors portray hyper-realized versions of the legendary revolutionaries like Braveheart on steroids, complete with all of the singing and dancing and over-the-top action that one would expect of Bollywood, even though this is technically a Tollywood picture because it was actually shot in the Telugu language of the Indian states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. India actually has a lot of different languages, even though Hindi is the main one. But this all takes place against the backdrop of the British Raj in the 1920s. Thus, British colonialism itself served as the true antagonist of the film. And tragically, however, this friendship is doomed from the start. They don't even try to hide it. They let you know pretty much right away this film is doomed from the start. Rama and Beam are on opposite sides without even realizing it. As Beam goes undercover in Delhi to rescue his sister, brazenly kidnapped and kept caged by the governor solely because his wife wants her as a plaything. Rama Raju is the soldier who volunteers to find him, ostensibly to advance his career. Thus, the fire and water theme emphasized throughout the film with the aid of one of the most beautiful soundtracks I've heard all year. And plus, director S.S. Rajamouli intentionally shot this film to appeal to both East and West. Thus, the whole idea, the theme emphasized throughout the film, this is where the East meets the West. He wanted to appeal to both the East in India and the West in the United States. So, the film takes some wild twists and turns along the way, developing the relationship with one explosive scene after another. It honestly reminds me a very lot of the overtop action of the 80s. And between the action, musical montages, and the dance scene, Nachu Nachu, you scarcely feel the 3-hour runtime, and yet the film still artfully manages to develop the relationship so it genuinely feels like they care about each other. You can't help but love this film. At the end of the day, I was invested in this movie, making from start to finish. I laughed, I cried, I cheered. It is quite simply one of the most remarkable films I have seen. And that is how you have a dance-off. Take notes, MCU. 5 stars. This one's this is probably the most thrilling film I've seen all year.
I'll ask that. I'll ask that later.
All right,
Okay,
now we have predictable choice from Black Guy.
Hey. All right.
The views and opinions of the Geek Informant do not reflect the rest of the views of Cool Kids.
So back in 2020, when we received the unfortunate news of Chadwick Boseman's passing, we were all left with sadness, and we were all left with somewhat of curiosity as what Ryan Coogler was going to do with the sequel. And years and years with debates of whether or not they should recast, should they move on and continue without him, should they give the Black Panther title to someone else. Now, heading into this movie, I had very, very high expectations because I, again, have been so sick of Phase 4. There were only a select few of projects that they've made that I actually liked. And I said from the start that if this movie was another one of Disney's just trying to profit off of someone unfortunately dying and them trying to stick their agenda of them trying to promote their new projects, I was done. And I went out of that movie theater pleasantly surprised and glad that Wakanda Forever was the movie that I wanted. The first 5 minutes alone was heartbreaking. It felt like even though he was unfortunately not here, you could still feel T'Challa's presence in the first 5 minutes of the movie, even though he's not on screen. And the theater that I was in, I saw this opening day. I never heard a theater so silent in my entire life when the credits were rolling. Like nothing. You couldn't hear a pin drop as to how silent this movie was. That's how the effect of silence in this movie was used down to a T. I think that Shuri, I know there was a lot of speculation as Shuri being Black Panther, but I think that Shuri does an amazing job in this movie. She definitely, matures and is not the, brat, not, I wouldn't say bratty, but the smart, witty, joking little sister in the first movie. She grows up and she's more mature. I think Okoye, Queen Namona, I think everyone in this movie was amazing. I think the effects were amazing. The CGI for once was actually good. The cinematography was great. And I just think it was a really good story. And the final 5 minutes of the movie, it made I cried. I cried in the last 5 minutes because I really just couldn't. As soon as they showed the montage of Chadwick, I just started bawling my eyes out because it was really just that amazing of a movie. And while Chadwick Boseman is no longer here with us, his spirit does live on. And even though it never gets old, I just still have to say it: Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
I'll fucking watch the movie eventually. Jesus Christ.
Please watch the movie, John. It's not that bad as you think.
I to be fair, I did say post 2022 I will not watch Marvel. So to be fair, I still have Werewolf by Night on my list and maybe some Disney Plus shows if they interest me. But maybe I'll watch Wakanda Forever eventually. But anyway, but before we move on to our number twos, we have Rome's number 3, which is also Devin's number 3 with the Batman. Way to go, Rome. But yeah, so now we move on to twos. Not poop, but 2 silver medal. And my silver medal is Top Gun Maverick. Well, if I had a nickel for every time Joseph Kosinski directed a sequel made decades after an overrated 80s film that happened to be leaps and bounds ahead of the original, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Saw the original Top Gun for the first time only a couple of years ago, and I was rather unimpressed by it. Sure, the flying scenes were cool, but it was riddled with eye-rolling tropes, a ham-fisted and poorly conveyed romantic subplot, a lackluster story, and pretty forgettable on the whole, as well as having the worst, most awkward, and most hilariously bad sex scene ever put to film. So I wondered, why in the actual fuck are they making a sequel so many years later? Well, to improve upon it, because as everyone else has said multiple times, this movie was absolutely amazing from start to finish, and I am still kicking myself that I did not get to see it in IMAX. But oh well. This movie in many ways feels like the blockbuster equivalent to Cobra Kai. It does have a similar tone with how it has some cheesy aspects, like some cliched lines here and there, but it manages to keep it serious and on the straight and narrow. It doesn't try to make fun of the original, deconstruct the original, or, completely and utterly insult the fan base by implementing stupid shit that will alienate longtime fans and have new fans not care in the long run. Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who. Ooh, sorry about that. Must be coming down with a cold or something.
You need to
This
drink
film
some water,
manages
John.
to hit all. What?
I said you need to drink some water, John.
Yes. This film manages to hit all the right spots, hit all the right notes, and manages to majorly improve upon its predecessor. In terms of all filmmaking aspects, the music and cinematography were phenomenal. The performances were all really great, and the action was tense as fucking shit. My God, the entire third act, I was on the edge of my seat. I don't remember the last time I was that tense during an action sequence. Ironically, it was probably the last Mission Impossible movie, but holy hot damn, I was holding on to my seat for dear life. Tom Cruise is great as always. He definitely played a seasoned Maverick very well. I think Miles Teller did a really good job as Rooster, but again, the age doesn't really make sense, but whatever. The kid was like 6 in the original movie. He would be like 40 now. Ugh. I guess the writers of this and Scream 5 didn't show up the same day for basic math in school, but luckily here it is more ambiguous. All the supporting cast did their job reasonably well. I liked all the characters just enough that I didn't want to see anything bad happen to them and felt like actual characters to an extent. Some felt a little bit tropey at points, but what are you going to do? Others like John Hamm, Ed Harris, Jennifer Connelly, and Bashir Saludin all did a good job in their respective roles. Sorry if I pronounced the last guy's name wrong. Honestly, as many people have said, I can't recommend this movie enough because somehow, despite the fact I've been making fun of the idea of this movie being in existence for the past 2 or 3 years, we all managed to love it. One of the best blockbusters to own that title in a good long while. Who would have saw it coming? I swear to God, every fucking time the preview for this goddamn movie showed up in the theater, I'm like, oh yeah, this, look at this pile of fucking shit. Are you kidding me? This is bullshit. And then meanwhile, after watching it, I'm like, God damn it, that was fucking excellent. Tom Cruise, you might be batshit insane, but you're a magnificent fucking bastard and adore filmmaking, and I gotta have respect for you there. If only you weren't part of a cult. But that's beside the point. Damn it, now Scientology is going to be looking through my mail. Oh, well, before I get, assassinated by Scientology, Devin, let's move on to your number 2.
My number 2 is Clerks 3. Clerks is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think Clerks 2 is even better. And we have another good movie in this trilogy. Jeff Anderson and Brian O'Halloran naturally slip back into their roles as Randall and Dante. They do not skip a beat. They give their best performances as these characters. They're still hilarious. Randall, we see a more vulnerable side to Randall that we haven't seen since Clerks 2 after he survived his heart attack. Brian O'Halloran is easily the best actor in this movie. There's a scene where he's given this powerful monologue calling out Randall for being an asshole, and it's amazing. Their friendship is easily the heart of the movie. The rest of the actors do a great job. I especially loved Elias in this movie, how he's a born again Satanist. The Jay and Silent Bob, they're hilarious. It was cool seeing Rosario Dawson. I wasn't expecting Kevin Smith to kill her off. And I was not expecting him to kill off Dante. And that's what I love about this movie. It does a great job blending the humor and the drama. Because yes, there's a lot of hilarious moments, but there's a lot of dramatic moments. I mean, who cares if I'm spoiling shit? But Dante dying brought me to tears. It was so well done. They did such a great job with that scene. The soundtrack, it's great from what you'd expect from the Clerks movies. The using Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance at the very beginning, that was such a great touch, as well as playing Just Breathe by Pearl Jam at Dante's funeral. That was great. This is easily one of Kevin Smith's best movies. This movie shows why we love these characters, and this was a good send-off to them. Honestly, I hope they don't do a Clerks 4 because it wouldn't make sense. It would be like doing 2 more Halloween movies after 2018. Oh wait, that already happened. Damn it. But yeah, I love Clerks 3.
Clerks 3, this time just one clerk.
I mean, Elias will still be there.
Hey, well, I mean,
but it's not the guys, the two like guys, like the original, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. But anyway.
But I mean,
there.
By the way, before I start, I was just gonna say I wasn't going to bring up that, but the ending because I didn't want to spoil anything. But I guess it's out the window. So whatever.
Whatever. It's been a year. Fuck. Whatever. It's Clerks 3. It's not whatever.
Okay.
Anyway,
yeah.
Rob.
Okay, so my number 2 is actually my favorite animated film of 2022, and ironically, if you watched our worst of 2022 live stream, you'll know I put Disney's live action Pinocchio remake at number 2. Ironically, my number 2 is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and I swear that was not intentional. It just sort of happened. But this has honestly been a passion project for Guillermo del Toro since 2008, and it paid off beautifully. I mean, I do enjoy most of Guillermo del Toro's films. I mean, there may be a few that don't necessarily hit the landing, but I mean, but I think most of them just knock it out for me. I mean, because I love Pan's Labyrinth, the Hellboy movies, Shape of Water is great. But yeah, I would say that this is honestly one of his best. So the stop motion is wonderful. The movements are great, and even the designs are even the character designs are just wonderfully done. They were actually inspired by illustrations of Chris Grimley's 2002 edition of the original 1883 novel. Um, Also, while yes, it is different from the novel and the 1940s Disney classic, it's not trying to copy what the original did, which is why this film succeeds and the Disney remake, fails miserably. Some of the themes of the original are still there, like obedience and such, but they're not the main focus. It's not really about Pinocchio wanting to be a real boy and having to go through the test of knowing what's right and wrong. It's more about him understanding the meaning of life and about mortality. Since we've already, I guess, we're already spoiling some of these movies. I'll just go ahead and say that yes, he doesn't become a real boy at the end, but he does end up giving his immortality. He sacrifices his immortality to save the ones that he loves. Means that he understands that making a sacrifice for others, he feels more like a real boy. And I also love how it explores topics like fascism and all. Yeah, there's no Pleasure Island scene, but it has been replaced with like a military camp for young boys, and it's a good commentary about just the hardships of war. And I think, and just like what Mark said, this honestly works great as a character study for Geppetto. Yes, I know the movie is called Pinocchio, but this feels more like it's Geppetto's story instead of Pinocchio's. It just shows him overcoming grief and having to try to be a father again. It's heartbreaking when you see his son get killed when a bomb drops on him at a church. It's just, and you see that he's struck by so much grief that he angrily, like while drunk, he's angrily creates Pinocchio, trying to overcome his grief. You understand the heartbreak that he's going through after losing his son. And he realizes at the end that Pinocchio is as real as the son he once had. I honestly cannot praise this movie enough. I cannot wait to see it again, and I would love to see what Guillermo del Toro has next in the future. So yeah, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Mark.
I'm free. I'm here. Well,
My
number two goes to the film that was the best cinematic experience I had all year. This bad boy, or at least its sequel, long-awaited sequel. When I first heard they were making a film, I did not see why it needed one. But the first trailer grabbed me by the balls and didn't let go, and the film did the exact same thing. Not only did it not disappoint, and I highly anticipated this movie, but it actually exceeded my expectations. In some ways, it does actually exceed the original. Once again, Tom Cruise proved that he's still at the top of his game when it comes to action. Throw in 3 decades of better technology, and you have a recipe for gripping, edge of your seat action, even more exciting than the original classic. The plot both honors and builds on the original. Maverick is still a rogue, searching for his place, dealing with the death of his partner and close friend. This time he's dealing with the modernizing Navy, increasingly reliant on drones and skeptical. He still has anything to contribute while he tries to patch his rocky relationship with the son of his late partner, who was perfectly played by Miles Teller, a dead bringer for the cinematic son of Anthony Edwards. I actually, my daughter, who actually had not even seen the original film, when we went to see this. I just absolutely fell in love with it. And even she was like saying, "Is that the son of the guy from the original?" I'm like, like, damn, I know, but he sure does look like. He sure did look like it. The relationship between he and Maverick is the heart of the film. At first, you know what? Honestly, the first time I watched it, I thought the relationship, the one weakness was the relationship between Maverick and Penny Benjamin, played by Jennifer Connelly. I thought she was capable, but I just thought it lacked the spark, the magic of Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis in the original. But having watched it again, I think they have a lot better chemistry than I thought the first time. The supporting cast is also fantastic, especially Glenn Powell's Hangman, Monica Barbaro Phoenix, John Hamm's Cyclone, Charles Parnell is fantastic. Lewis Pullman is Bob. Who doesn't love Bob? The film did everything right. Hit all the high notes. It honored the original without coming across as a rehash. This is a film that if you did not see it in theaters, you really missed something. The action was every bit as good as you would expect. The relationship between Maverick and Rooster gave the film a lot of heart. So, 5-star film. Absolutely.
So, my number 2 was. I mean, if you know me, you know it's not a surprise. My number 2. Now, actually, you know what? Oh well, you already showed it, so never mind. Let me just get into it.
Sorry.
The Batman was one of the most surprising movies that I have seen in 2022. It not only exceeded my expectations on Robert Pattinson as Batman, it far exceeded them. Because I, like many other people, was very skeptical on the fact that they chose Robert Pattinson at the time. This is before I saw the movies that I saw afterwards. This is back when I was thinking he was just, the Twilight actor. I didn't see The Lighthouse. I didn't see Tenet. I didn't see all those other movies that he was in beforehand. So this is pre, those movies. But after watching The Lighthouse, especially The Lighthouse, I was like, you know what? He is ready for this role. I think he's gonna knock it out the park. And not even the first 10 minutes, the opening monologue, as soon as he uttered October 31st, I'm like, this is the one. This is the one. This is the one, because this movie was amazing. It's by far the second best Batman movie I've ever seen. Robert Pattinson was amazing as Batman. Paul Dano was amazing as the Riddler. This movie gave me Zodiac /Seven vibes. I think that Zoe Kravitz was great as Catwoman. Hot take, I think she's the best Catwoman. I'm sorry, Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm sorry, Michelle Pfeiffer, but I think Zoe Kravitz is better than you. I'm sorry. Heck, I even think Anne Hathaway is better than you. I'm sorry. I think
that's the way you want to, you little shit. Fine.
The actual fuck.
Finally, we got a Phantom Zone.
God, I love that clip.
I don't love Batman Returns nor Dark Knight Rises, but that's just that's a shit take, my friend.
I'm sorry. Like I was saying before I got kicked, literally, the action was great. The cinematography was amazing. Like Gotham actually feels like a hellhole. It feels like Gotham. It doesn't feel like it was shot in Chicago or it was shot on a set that was made. It feels like you were actually in Gotham. I think Jeffrey Wright was amazing as Jim Gordon. I was skeptical at first, but watching it, I was sold on his performance. I think the one negative I will give this movie, and if you know, I'm not going to spoil what it is, but you know what? Fine. Since we're all spoiling things, I'll spoil it. The Joker scene. The Joker scene was very, very standoffish for me. I think we really did not need to have another Batman movie where we have to have a Joker scene. I think Joker has been done to death over the last 10 years. And I think him being in that movie, and also if you're a Batman fan like me, if you saw the deleted scene, you'll understand what I mean. I just think Joker was let on way too early, and the fact that he was already captured and put into jail in like year 1 or something, it's kind of ridiculous. But that's just me. But overall, I think the movie was amazing. I think the story and character arc that Batman goes through is great. Him learning to put vengeance and anger to the side and look towards hope and being a beacon of, being a symbol of, good in the world. I think it's amazing. I'm so excited for a sequel. I swear to God, James Gunn, I have been trying to advocate for you ever since you took over DC. But if you cancel Batman 2, I swear to God, Mark will have a field day with you. I can't defend you from Mark will have a field day with you. That's all I have to say. Batman is a 9 out of 10 movie.
It's fun to be right.
All right, now before we get to our bests of the year, Rome's number 2 is the same as Rob's number 2 with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. And I hate to reiterate this Phineas and Ferb joke, but if I had a nickel for every time a 2022 movie started off with child murder and then the rest of the movie was about grief and trauma, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
I'll be honest with you, John. I honestly didn't even know what that reference was. So until you just mentioned it in the private
Phineas
chat,
and Ferb. It's from
I didn't watch.
I think it was Dr. Doofenshmirtz that said it.
I didn't watch
Neither
that
did
show.
I, but I followed
did,
Dan Pavin.
Considering I'm the only young person in here. No offense.
Okay.
I don't like Ferb.
But now
My daughter watched it, so that's
Are we going to do honorable mentions?
I watched a bit of it, but
okay.
Now we go to our favorites of the year.
Wait. Are we doing honorable mentions?
Oh yes, sorry. Yes, honorable mentions first. I will go first. Actually, you know what? Everyone else go first, and then I'll do mine so it can like bleed into my number 1.
All right, so I guess I'll
mainly
go
because I
first.
forgot to put the list up. So Devin, you go first.
Oh.
So I have a bunch, but it's hard to limit it just to 5. So I'll try and mix some of them up. We're the Al Yankovic Story, The Fablemans, Nope. My God, hold on. I'm pulling up my list. All right.
Okay, fine. I'll do mine first. Jesus Christ.
Yes,
Trying to
do
be
yours
nice
first.
here, but okay. I had to pull the list up. I'm sorry. It's chaos. Anyway, so mine from I guess 15 to 11. I always have mine in order. But for me from bottom to top is Watcher, Metal Lords, Nope, Barbarian, and Pearl. Those are my honorable mentions.
Okay, so now I got them. All right. We're the Al Yankovic Story, The Fablemans, The Menu, and I'll throw in a couple of the 4-star picks. So I'll throw in Nope, and I will throw in RRR.
Okay. Well, since I mean, I'll be honest with you, I actually had a bunch because there have been, but I know we're only limiting to 5. Just so I don't spoil too much for when I do my best of the year video, my top 15 best of the year video. I'm just gonna pull random ones. Some of them will probably be my 11 through 15. Others will be just honorable mentions for that video. So I'll let you take a guess what some of them are. But they include Prey, Triple R, Bell, Weird the Al Yankovic Story, and The Batman. So
My turn.
Honorable mentions.
Yeah. Okay. Mine are ready. Number 15 is Elvis. Number 14 is Prey. Number 13 is The Woman King. Number 12, The Banshees of Inisherin. And number 11, The Black Phone. That's it. That's my honorable mentions.
I don't have any honorable mentions. I was not informed that I needed any honorable mentions. I guess an honorable mention is Jurassic World Dominion, but I already said that was, I had to pick the latter between that and
Phantom
Avatar
Zone.
2. Phantom Zone, I mean, if you want to, it is my opinion. I think that Jurassic World was good just because of the original cast from Jurassic Park, but other than that, sue me.
That's the way you want it, you little shit. Fine.
I thought Zach had bad opinions.
Zach,
He does,
did you possess
He
Jay?
but
Wow.
Hello again. Yeah, but that's my honorable mention, I
Turning
guess.
red.
But
Oh, we have water.
yeah.
That could be your number 9 pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
all right.
I don't know what you want from me. I mean, that's my honorable mention.
Okay. And Rome doesn't have any honorable mentions. He just had 10. So now we go. Sorry, I fucked up before, but now we go into our favorites of the year, and starting with my favorite, this is perfection at its finest. I don't care what anybody says, but that is called The Northman. I would argue that this is Robert Eggers' best movie. Well, my favorite is probably still The Lighthouse. This is overall a better movie because of how much good is in it. I would say the only negative I have is that once the main character gets to where he's going, it's a bit slow, but it quickly straightens itself out and gets going again. By the way, there's some light spoilers. Not too bad, but just be forewarned. This is probably the first time since The Lord of the Rings where someone has done a true epic. While not as big as movies like The Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur, and Lawrence of Arabia, I still felt that it felt bigger than the story it was telling. I feel as though Lord of the Rings almost killed the epic because we truly have never gotten an epic since then. I'm not talking about when people are like, holy shit, bro, Endgame was epic. I'm talking about an actual tried and true epic. With people giving hundreds of millions of dollars to big budget movies, I am weirdly surprised that no one has tried to make an epic, but I guess everything is too congested with superhero movies. Who knows? The performances are on top form. Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe, Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Anya Taylor-Joy, Claes Bang, and everyone else gave some of the greatest and strongest performances I have seen in a long fucking time. Probably since Dafoe in The Lighthouse, funnily enough. Every single actor channels their absolute greatest talents through this movie. Skarsgård very much proves in this movie that he is not just a pretty face. Now, I haven't seen every performance from her, but I would say it was Nicole Kidman's greatest performance just from her scene with Amleth later on in the movie. Pure excellence. I needed more Dafoe, though, and that's another small negative I have, but you know what? I'll take it. The cinematography is as beautiful as it ever could be. Jaron Blaschke, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, I apologize, is Eggers' go-to guy, and it's no surprise why, with Blaschke knocking it out of the park. While I do still think he should have won the Oscar for The Lighthouse, although Roger Deakins is the only DP that could have beaten Blaschke that year, and I'm glad it went to someone great. I would say his work here is even better. The entire third act is just an enthralling piece of film, just from a visual standpoint. While a lot of the greatness does rest on Eggers and his command of the screen, I do think that the film would not be as good if Jaron Blaschke wasn't the DP. The production design is once again pure excellence. Similar to The Witch, it's simple yet accurate to the time because Eggers actually cares about that accuracy. He wants to showcase with proper research what it was like in terms of the costuming, the sets, the makeup, and the overall look. A filmmaker that takes their film seriously. What a thought. The story is really good. Eggers manages to make such simplistic storylines and make them seem so much more. Girl dealing with weird shit, guy getting weird in a secluded location, and a quest for revenge. We've seen these ideas before, some great and some not so great, but Eggers does something to make it feel like something more. He has a touch, an aspect, a method to his madness that makes his film so much more than they could and should be. This pretty much Shakespearean tragedy unfolds with so much beauty and depth that I feel like it just gets better the more I think about it. The quest for vengeance is a simple one, and while it doesn't do anything new with it, it feels like it is. Not just the strange visions and the epic feel, but there is a touch to it that makes it even better than it should be. It's entirely possible that the greatness of the rest of the movie is propping up the story, but I still feel the story was intriguing to me. And it did have some good twists in there to keep the audience invested. I honestly do not recall a cinematic experience as amazing as this was. It was a packed theater, I was with friends, and I just watched the purest form of art unfold. The last time I was in a movie this close to perfection in a theater was probably 1917, but even this easily beats it. While The Batman, for instance, is a great fucking movie, I felt little emotion towards it, unfortunately. Within the first shot with The Northman, I was absolutely fucking hooked. This is honestly the type of movie that we should be making, but Hollywood refuses to fucking burn. But at this point, it really fucking needs to, because then it can open the doors for more creative and interesting movies like this. Imagine the 1970s, but on crack. That's what it fucking should be. Filmmakers making stuff like this. That would be amazing. But I digress. The Northman is a sight to behold. Literally every aspect is as close to perfection as you can possibly get. I do not care what anyone says. This film is a masterclass in cinematic excellence.
I will avenge you, father, mother, and I will avenge you, father, and I will kill you, uncle.
I will avenge your father. I will save your mother. I will kill your Fjolnir. All right. My number one. I have kicked myself in the ass for not seeing this in theaters because I would have loved it, but I ended up seeing it on streaming. The best movie I have seen all year is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Oh my God. This was a blast from beginning to end. Had a smile on my face the whole movie. Every time I watch it, it gets better and better. It took the concept of the multiverse and made it a lot more interesting than fucking Multiverse of Madness, which, again, I didn't hate. I just found that movie to be fun, but extremely messy. But that's another story. Acting from everyone is spectacular. I loved Michelle Yeoh as the main character. She's so likable and funny. You care about her, you root for her just like the rest of these characters. The action is so much fun. It's well shot, it's well choreographed. Who would have thought? Okay, John is gone. All right. Who would have thought I would see a woman use fucking dildos as a weapon? It's better than it sounds, believe me. Yo, all the comedic bits hit. This movie is so goddamn funny. I was laughing my ass off every time whenever I watch this movie. CGI is great. The message of this movie is brilliant. And unlike most movies nowadays that feel the need to tell you the message instead of, I don't know, showing it to you, this movie shows you. It does not tell you. The message is woven into the narrative. I will always preach show, don't tell, and this movie absolutely perfects it. The speech that she gives, that Evelyn gives to her daughter, is so beautiful. I love the theme of this movie. Like, no matter how I see it is, no matter what reality you're in, you still mean something to somebody. It's so well done. It's so beautiful. It is easily my favorite movie by A24. As much as I love stuff like Hereditary, The Disaster Artist, and Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, none of them can top this. What I say does not do it justice. It is a movie that needs to be seen to be believed. This is such a well acted, well written, well directed, hilarious, heartwarming, and visually spectacular masterpiece. It is easily the best movie I have seen in 2022. And that's all. And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, so I guess it's my turn. Well, what can I say? Great minds think alike. My number one is also Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. This movie was just such a blast to watch. I had a lot, even though I wasn't able to see this in theaters, unfortunately, but I was able to see it on streaming, and I am so glad that my good friend gave me this recommendation. I am so glad. So because this movie was just this movie was fantastic. It's very creative. It's visually stunning, and honestly, I would love to see this actually get a lot of like maybe some Oscar nominations at the very least. Michelle Yeoh does a wonderful job. She's a great character. You root for her. You really want her to. Jamie Lee Curtis also does an excellent job in this film. There's the action scenes are just so much fun. They're just so over the top, and they're just a blast to watch. I mean, how many films can you think of where a person goes into a multiverse with sausage fingers So and just like Devin said, I love the message of the film of how you're always meaningful in every single universe that exists. So you're always meaning to someone, and I do love because the whole point of filmmaking is show, don't tell, which is what a lot of other films fail to see. And I really appreciate this. It shows you what the message is. It shows you everything rather than having to just clutter the film with nothing but exposition. And that I really admire. And yeah, I would have to agree with Devin. This is easily the best A24 movie, even though, don't get me wrong, been some great A24 movies. I've already mentioned Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, but even that doesn't live up to the standards like this did. So, if you haven't seen it, then what the hell are you doing? Just go ahead and watch it now. Stop the live stream. Go watch it right now.
Okay, goodbye.
But yeah, that's my number one. Everything, everywhere, all at once.
All right, and to continue to beat a dead horse, this year I was torn between for my top films. I was torn between films that made me think, films that made me feel, and films that gave me thrills. So naturally, for my top spot, I chose one that did all three. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I kept hearing and reading nothing but the highest praise about this film from critics and fans alike, which is always a good sign. And most importantly, from my friends whom I trust. Naturally, this gave me very high expectations, yet somehow this film managed to not only meet them, but exceed them. Obviously, the cast was outstanding, as has been said before. I could have told you that without even seeing it. No one should expect any less from a cast like Michelle Yeoh, Ke Huy Quan. Look, kids, it's Short Round. And a Goonie. Jamie Lee Curtis, eat your heart out, Zach, because this is her best film of the year. And James Hong, who, if you're a James Carpenter, if you're a Carpenter fan, you will know from Big Trouble in Little China. And Michelle and Ke Huy Quan have great chemistry. They appear as having been married somebody who was married for 20 years myself, they really appear as a genuine married couple who love one another, but whose relationship has run its course and the flame has died. I could really relate to that. Jamie Lee Curtis is a delight as the insufferable bureaucrat. James Hong is as adorable as ever as the oppressive Gong Gong. However, the rest of the cast deserve praise as well. Stephanie Sue, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm sorry if I am, was especially terrific as the daughter. Joy Wang and her alter ego, Jobu Tupaki. Her interactions with her mother, Evelyn, played by Michelle Yeoh, are priceless and unforgettable. She is a tour de force who steals the scene every time she's on screen, especially as Jobu. The rest of the cast is solid as well. The story is well written and touching, and not in a smarmy way with cheap sentimentality. The relationships are explored in a complex and non-judgmental way, as if these are actual human beings with flaws rather than one-dimensional stereotypes meant to make a cheap point. Everyone has a distinct point of view. Everyone has a legitimate grievance. The relationships, everything from wife and husband to mother-daughter to daughter-father, actually feel like genuine real-life relationships with all their complexities. This makes their resolution also cleverly done all the more rewarding. Not only are the relationships well done, but the plot itself is tightly written with strong internal logical consistency. The action, the visuals are outstanding. The effects are top-notch. The action is entertaining. It actually, as has been said before, it does the multiverse concept in a way that puts Marvel and DC to shame. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll feel like soaring, you'll feel like standing and cheering. If you can watch this film and not laugh and not feel and not be made to think, then you must be brain dead and have no heart. Sorry. Not sorry. I wish I could go more in depth than empty platitudes, but it's just a fantastic film. So it's honestly, thinking my rating, honestly, 10 out of 10 is not enough. This one goes to 11. So.
Okay, quick story before I get into my number one movie. I hate to, spoiler alert, it's not Everything Everywhere All at Once. I hate to break the 3-person streak. Okay, so quick story.
I did it first.
Oh, well, you didn't break it. You didn't break it. He started it, but you didn't. Devin started it.
I have a different boy mind.
Okay, so quick story. I have seen a lot of movies, or not a lot of movies. I've seen a good amount of movies for the year of 2022. I have seen some good ones. I have seen some bad ones. There were some that made me laugh. There were some that made me cry. There were some that made me very, very angry. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Uncharted. There was some that made me a lot of emotions. But there was one film that made me feel very, very amazing. And that is the Marvel legend himself, Morbius. I'm joking. But seriously, all I gotta say is one sentence. Star Wars. That is how you do a sequel. A freaking sequel. That is how you do a sequel. Top Gun Maverick is my favorite movie of 2022. That is how you do a sequel. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, in order for me to watch Top Gun Maverick, I had to see the first movie. So I never saw the first movie before. And watching the first movie, now I know everyone else thinks it's overrated. I think it's amazing. I think it's your typical 80s movie, but it's great, honestly. Now, the love interest in that dynamic, I'll admit, that was pretty bad. But hey, he upgraded to Jennifer Connelly, so I can't. I mean, hey, he gotta upgrade, honestly. But I think Top Gun, the first one, was pretty, it was your typical 80s movie, but I thought it was really great. Obviously, the scene with Goose dying honestly pulled at my heartstrings, and it almost made me cry a couple of times. So heading into this movie, I can't say that I wasn't. I was a little skeptical because, this movie has been in like development hell for years, being pushed back due to COVID and all this stuff. And then, the whole outburst that Tom Cruise had on set. And then, but the first minute, it brought me right back in the first movie. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This is it. This is how you start a sequel. Just make everyone familiar with the movie. Like it was, I swear, like the opening was just like, I don't know if they redid anything, but it literally felt shot for shot of the first Top Gun movie. But obviously, let's talk about the characters. Maverick, I was so worried that they were going to ruin Maverick in this movie. Like, oh my Lord, I thought they were going to ruin his character for another one, and I really was not going for that. But I was pleasantly glad that they did not change his character. Yes, he has become wiser, but he's still Maverick. He's still willing to push himself, and he's still willing to be hard-headed at times, and still willing to, just be that little scoundrel. But I thought Maverick was great. I thought Miles Teller as Rooster was amazing. I think their dynamic was amazing, and the reasoning behind why Maverick decides to do what he did to Rooster, it's understandable considering after the events of the first movie. I think the students for the academy, I thought they were all great, and I think they all had a great chemistry. I think Maverick trying to teach everyone, how to do it the right way was amazing. Even the scene where he proves that he can pull off the mission by himself was such a Maverick thing to do, and I thought it was amazing. The cinematography was great. The music was great. The final air fight, I was at the edge of my seat. Like John said, I haven't been at the edge of my seat since Mission Impossible Fallout, because I swear, when I thought that Maverick died, I was like, what in the actual, like, I almost like jumped out of my seat because I thought he died, but thank God he didn't. Thank God he didn't. But I thought the ending was really great. It was very emotional. I thought it was beautiful. And it's just, that's how you do a sequel. That is how you do a legacy sequel. That is how you do a sequel. You don't try to tear down the old characters or tear down anything that made its predecessor great. You build from that and you make something new out of it and still make it great. And you respect the characters. You respect the characters first. I'm looking at you, Star Wars, Kenobi. But But one thing I did love about Top Gun Maverick, it was honestly an allegory for real life and talking about our mortality as humans, because at some point, machines are going to make us obsolete with our jobs. Machines are going to make us obsolete with a lot of things. But Maverick's character, and by extension, Tom Cruise, because I think Tom Cruise also meant this while playing Maverick, even though we may be old, we can still pull things off and we can still do things even though that machines can't do. And I love that, even though, we have the world has come, the world is changing, Tom Cruise still decides to do things.
The world is changing.
Tom Cruise still decides to do things his way with his movies, and it's worked out very, very well. It's worked out very, very well. And Tom Cruise really wanted this movie to be great, and he got what he deserved. He got what he deserved. The opening of him saying thank you all for watching this movie, I felt that because he really wanted this movie. He wanted this movie to be good. You can tell that he wanted this movie to be good. The passion and everything that went behind this project, he wanted this movie to be good he wanted it to be flawless from the start, and it was flawless. I found nothing wrong with this movie at all. I thought this movie was perfect, and it's a perfect 10 out of 10 movie, and I thought it was the best movie I've seen of 2022. Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me.
My man.
Yep.
Also, J to the Star Wars franchise.
You're a classic example of the inverse ratio between the size of the mouth and the size of the brain.
Thank you, Tom Baker.
Yes.
I had to. I had to.
I can't hate on that pick because, I mean, it's any one of my top five could have been number one. I really thought about Maverick because, like I said, it really was the best theater experience I had all year. I did not see Everything Everywhere All at Once in theaters, unfortunately, but this I did. It was amazing. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, although speaking of Top Gun Maverick, Rome's number one. Also, Top Gun Maverick.
So we have a two-man streak here.
Two-man streak, three-man streak, and then I'm the idiot that thinks great movies should be number one. So
honestly, honestly, after the stream, I really should watch The Northman. I want to watch The Northman.
You need to watch The Northman. Everyone needs to watch The Northman.
I have it on Blu-ray. I've seen The Northman.
Necessary.
I got The Northman for this guy down here for Christmas.
Yes, he did.
On 4K.
4K. Northman.
Yeah. But honestly, when that's a Star Wars comment, I don't mean it just for Star Wars. I just mean it for every movie company because I don't know what made movies just all of a sudden to think that it's okay to make a sequel just because. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Toy Story 4. And Zach, I know you're watching this.
I hope Zach is still watching
this, Zach.
It was honestly.
You're watching it, Zach. Toy Story 4 can suck a. You know what? I'm
looking at you, David Gordon Green.
I'm gonna chill.
I'm honestly, this was a great year for film for me at least because all of my
More or
top
less.
10,
exactly.
Yeah.
all of my top 10 I had as 5 stars. My next 10 were all 4.5 stars. I mean, this was just an amazing.
Here's the thing. Despite the fact that the year has not necessarily been great in general, it's been a damn good year for movies.
Yeah, because think about it like this.
Oh no, Devin, you go first.
I saw this, like 2022 alone, I saw 76 new movies. 76.
I don't know how many I saw.
I
probably saw like 20 or something.
Maybe 22.
I saw a few that I had not. I found a few on Netflix that I had watched when I looked through my Netflix watch list that I had actually seen that I forgot about.
There were some that I think I've seen more. I've seen more than Devin. I've seen like a lot on streaming and a lot in theaters. 82. I've seen
82,
a total.
Wow.
Yes.
Honestly, like with me, and this may be just be my opinion, but after the Oscars, I feel like 2022. While yes, we've had some diamonds in the rough. I still feel like 2022 as a whole with film, it's really just it's shown me that the movies that don't get enough attention will be. That the movies that don't get enough attention are going to do great, but the mainstream movies, they have been lackluster. At least that's just my opinion.
You're not wrong.
No, you're not.
As I did mention to everyone, this is the first time throughout my entire Letterboxd career that a superhero film has not been on the list.
Yes.
And if we're counting
the Batman,
it was not on my list. It was not in my honorable mentions.
It's in my honorable mentions, but
Devin.
But because I did do individual lists for favorite films for every year I've been alive. If we're counting those, it's the first time since 2007 I have not had a superhero film on my top 10 list. So think of that as you will.
And then again, that's kind of a low bar because I think the only 2 comic book films that came out in 2007 were Spider-Man 3 and Fantastic Four 2.
And Ghost Rider.
Oh, and Ghost Rider, I forgot about that.
Yeah, because the MCU didn't start until 2008. So
yeah.
But hey, Fantastic Four: Rise of Silver Surfer wasn't even that bad.
I haven't seen it forever,
remember
man.
it. Like I remember watching it in the theater,
Yeah,
but I don't remember it.
Okay, listen.
It was
put Galactus to the side. The Tim Story Fantastic Four movies were fun. They were fun, and they actually felt like a family. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Eternals.
Looking at you, Fan 4 stick.
Fan 4 shit.
I'm not talking about that movie. That movie doesn't exist.
45, 46.
The new one's probably gonna suck dicks too. But remember, kids, and if you're looking for a good Fantastic Four movie, just watch The Incredibles.
The Incredibles is the best Fantastic Four movie.
And Incredibles 2.
No.
And honestly,
what's wrong with Incredibles 2?
No.
What's wrong
And
with
also the bargain bin movie that technically never got released. That's also
the Roger Corman version.
I'd
Yes.
rather watch Eternals than watch Incredibles 2, and you all know how much I hate that movie.
Wow, that's
damn.
It literally ruined the first one. It ruined the first one for me a little bit, a tiny bit. It ruined the first one for me.
My little beat.
But anyways, it is like an hour and 53 minutes, so I'm pretty sure.
That's not even close to what the bad one was.
It was 2 hours and 24 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that was a long stream.
Wait, which one we're talking about?
The yesterday stream, that was like 2 hours and 24 minutes.
That was that was like.
Oh, I wanted to say, Rob mentioned one that I wanted to give a shout out to. Emily the Criminal. That was a really good film.
Emily the Criminal. I love that. I love that movie.
Yeah, it was like number 17 or 18 on my list.
Okay. Well, since everyone has given their bad movies, allow me Since I wasn't
Yeah,
here yesterday,
let's give Jay.
Allow me.
Yeah.
I'll
Yes.
give you my worst movies of the year.
I wish I had some popcorn.
So number 5, I have Uncharted. I love Tom Holland. I love you, man. But no, Mark Wahlberg, absolutely not. You were terrible, terrible, terrible as Sully. I hated it. Number 4, Morbius. I mean, do I even have to explain, do I even have to explain why Morbius is
But
in this
Jay,
list?
it's Morbin time.
I don't give a fuck if it
Morbin
was morphing.
time.
I don't give a fuck if it was morphing time. I'm not. No, Morbius is terrible. Number 3, and this may not be a movie that anyone even expected that I would even watch nor have heard of, but it's called Sneakerella. Sneakerella is a spoof of Cinderella, but instead it is a guy this time, and instead of him being a slave and him being not slave, because I think that term is him being pretty much a working class citizen to his older brothers and his stepfather, and instead of glass slipper, he makes sneakers.
Sure,
And then
why not?
the prince of the movie, who's the girl, who's like the princess, the girl of the movie, she's famous because her dad's a famous basketball player, and the Cinderella character makes sneakers for that famous basketball player. It was
This
a
is
musical.
92%, really?
I hated it.
I never
hated
even heard of it. I won't
Oh,
lie.
I
you don't
remember
want
seeing
to.
a trailer for that. I'm like, damn, that looks really fucking stupid. So remember, kids, if you want to watch a good gender bent Cinderella movie, just watch Cinderfella with Jerry Lewis.
Okay, and number 2, which is painful to me because I really loved the teaser trailer. I really did. I thought that the third movie of this quadrilogy was great, even though I find it overrated. But Thor: Love and Thunder, I hate you.
Yes.
I hate you for ruining Thor. I hate you for literally blue balling us into thinking that the Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be in this movie for longer than 5 minutes. I hate you for bringing in Christian Bale and only using it for, I think, maybe 15 minutes of screen time. And I hate you for ruining Thor Ragnarok.
And let me see, what else can we pile on? Is there any more shit we could pile on to the top of the outcome of this case? Is it possible? And let me see, what else can we pile on? Is there any more shit we could...
Now, granted, I think that Thor Ragnarok is very, very overrated, but at least I enjoyed myself. Taika Waititi that thinks that, oh, okay, Thor Ragnarok was great because of the comedy. Let me turn the comedy up to 9,000 and put all the dialogue on freaking crack. You're not funny, Taika Waititi. We get it. You made Ragnarok. You made Jojo Rabbit. You're not funny. Korg is the worst character in MCU history, and we haven't even made it to number 1 on my list. Because number 1 is She-Hulk. I hate She-Hulk with a burning passion. Oh.
Jay be like,
I have a question. Oh, God. Why? I have a question.
No, actually, Jay's like, Jay, mad, Jay, smash.
She-Hulk. Now, before I get into why I hate She-Hulk, you may be asking yourselves, why is She-Hulk at number 1? It's not a movie. I don't care. This is my list, and I will use whatever I feel like is necessary.
Zach had it on his list.
I will put She-Hulk. She-Hulk is the definitive of my rage. It's the definitive of my rage for the MCU. It is the definitive of my rage for terrible TV shows and dialogue, and it's the definitive of my rage for...
It had the dialogue of a Wattpad fanfiction.
I hated it. And you know what? To any females who are watching this, no, I didn't hate She-Hulk because she's a woman. That's not the reason why I hated it, okay? I hated it because even though I wanted to like She-Hulk, even though I wanted to, I really, really did, they really dropped the ball when they tried to empower females because they really did it terribly. They made men in this entire every single guy in this entire show was portrayed as like the worst human being known possible. Meanwhile, Jennifer is this perfect person who can't do any wrong when she has done wrong, and she is above being held accountable for her actions.
She's a Mary Sue.
No, she's the Ray. That's what she is. We can't. How can I get behind a character that doesn't even? How can I get behind a character that's perfect at everything and is never wrong? That is what makes a character interesting. When a character is wrong, when a character has flaws. Right. She doesn't have flaws, and I get it. You don't want to make, you don't want. I get it. I get the point, but you have to have the main character be likable. She's not likable.
Thank you.
She's not likable. She literally sexualizes men.
Man.
Yeah.
Man.
She has Captain America's ass as a
exactly. And I swear, I listen. I understand what this sounds like. It sounds like a man is complaining about. It's not. That's not what it is. We have had so many strong females in the MCU. Gamora, Pepper Potts, Valkyrie.
Potts deserve a show. TV.
Natasha. Why didn't Natasha get a man? You know what? We're not gonna get into that. So please, someone name another female character.
Captain Marvel.
No.
They all suck though. All the MCU women suck.
Hey, even Hawkeye, even Kate Bishop. I know she's new, but Kate Bishop was also interesting because she wasn't
Miss Marvel
perfect.
was more interesting.
Miss Marvel is
Miss Marvel was boring.
No, okay, Miss Marvel was okay. It may have been boring, but Miss Marvel was a likable character, and I honestly loved her. I loved her character. I really did. I really did.
She was a wannabe Supergirl, like.
But
thank you, Kaylee.
Okay. Taking Captain Marvel out of the equation, every single female character in the MCU up to this point was done great. And here comes She-Hulk, and you completely dropped the ball. You dropped the ball.
Really, Captain Marvel?
And the fact that I said taking Captain Marvel out of the equation. I said excluding Captain Marvel.
Okay.
And the fact, and pin this camera back on me because I have to say something.
Okay.
And Disney, you had the audacity to cancel Daredevil, one of the greatest comic book adaptations known to mankind. You decided to cancel that just to tell us, hey, we're bringing back Matt Murdock and we're bringing back Charlie Cox, just for you to ruin him in one episode. How do you manage to ruin Daredevil in one episode?
They gave us hope with No Way Home, and then
I feel like
the show had made him fuck She-Hulk.
I feel like 50% of Jay's personality right now is hating She-Hulk, and I love it.
Can I say this about She-Hulk? So, this movie, it's the She-Hulk, Ghostbusters 2016, and Men. Those are examples of trying to be pro-feminism, but just come off as sexist for both sides.
Yes.
Very true, man. Very true.
And as soon as She-Hulk tortured with Megan Thee Stallion, I'm like, you know what? Fuck this show. I've seen enough. I don't want to watch this shit anymore.
Thankfully for me, I didn't even start.
The finale of this show was one of the worst constructed finales. Not even finales. It was one of the worst constructed episodes I've ever seen put to TV show history. That episode absolved the main character from learning her own mistakes. It makes it so that she doesn't get to learn anything. She literally says, hey, I don't like the ending of this episode. Let me change it to how I want it. Let me win and take all the glory and not learn from any of my mistakes.
The thing is, and the thing that's like so aggravating about it is like a lot of the decisions that She-Hulk makes throughout the show is very much in the spirit of the character of She-Hulk, but the difference is the writing is absolutely fucking terrible, so it doesn't work. like She-Hulk actually like backing out and like breaking the fourth wall and going into the writer's room, that is a very She-Hulk thing to do.
Yes, but the
But
execution
the problem
was
is it's terribly written.
The
It's
execution was
horribly
terrible.
written.
The execution was terrible. And yeah, let me address another complaint. We don't care that She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall. That's not why we hate it. We hate it because of the terrible, terrible writing. Jessica Gao.
Hello everyone. Speak Kevin Feige. How you guys doing?
Foggy, fuck you. We don't want to talk to you.
Oh, too bad. Just for that, you're getting 3 more seasons of She-Hulk.
You ruined my life.
Nah, that's not me. That's James Gunn.
No, you ruined my life.
No, that's my life that's ruined by James Gunn.
Why did you curse us with not just She-Hulk, not just Eternals, not just okay, I'll put Black Widow in there because I will say that there were some aspects about Black Widow that was not good. You cursed us with an entire phase of terrible, terrible, terrible projects. What have we done to you, Foggy? I thought we were your inspiration as to why you make such great projects.
You are. This is just a big long tease to prepare you for the really good stuff coming out. Don't worry, it's gonna get better.
So you mean to tell me that you were dragging me through the mud for a phase just to get us to the good part?
Can I say something?
Yes, you can say something, Mark.
Yeah, I'm sick of, and we've talked about it before, how Dan Slott, as much as we all hate him, said that She-Hulk was comic accurate. And we all talked about it before. And we all talked about it before. Let me finish.
Let me talk.
I'm sick and tired of, aside from whether or not he's right, I'm sick and tired of that being used as a shield for shitty comic book movies and shit. Just because it's in the comic does not make it great. I mean, look, Mark Waid's silly ass Daredevil is also in the comic accurate. It's also still shit. So
yeah, when you have Daredevil literally saying "I'm Batman" in your comic, it's like, bruh, I cannot wait for that fucking scene to come out and all the fucking dumbass. Oh, that was from the
May
comics.
I remind you
God.
that the comic book run that everyone loves to freaking suck the comic run that everyone just loves to praise, it's the same comic book run where he wears a sweater saying, "I'm not Daredevil," or "I'm Daredevil."
Or I'm not Daredevil.
Is
and
wrong
it's for a Christmas party. And it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
I didn't know Daredevil was stupid.
I love how like this became best.
Next season, good sir.
I didn't know that Neil
We can't
Druckmann
help
just
getting
wandered onto
angry.
set and decided to write a terrible comic book because that's terrible. Oh, by the way, Neil Druckmann, I still hate you for The Last of Us. I played it today, or The Last of Us Part 2. I played it today. I still think what you did to Joel was downright atrocious, and you should be in jail. Your game did not deserve Game of the Year. I'm sorry. I'm on a rage-filled rant. Someone should have played "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor" because I should. Oh my lord! I don't think I have. I ever been this angry? Have you ever seen me this angry?
Probably.
Probably. I mean, all we know is that there's 2 things that will anger this guy: a certain Pixar movie and a certain MCU show.
No, you can say the names.
Please
want
don't.
me?
We don't need for this to be.
I was gonna say we don't need you going
I want to
all.
try and break the record for the worst, so let's try to stop.
Okay, well, everyone, that was my top 5 worst things to ever be released in 2022. Yes, that was my list, and now I'm back to being calm for now.
Okay.
All right, good. I heard. Was Kevin Feige here?
Yes, he was, and I told him to fuck off.
Well, I'm sure he'll get over it. He's got a lot of money.
Yeah, he ruined my life.
George Lucas
ruined
my childhood.
You have done that yourself. You tortured yourself. We told you not to watch it.
Yeah, I don't know why you did that.
I wanted to see Daredevil. That's the only reason why.
Yeah,
you also tortured yourself with 10 seasons of The Flash. What the hell?
Okay, don't. All right,
First of all, there's no 10 seasons. It's stopping with 9.
Okay,
and 4, or maybe you could argue 5 of those 9 seasons were genuinely good.
I'd say
Three.
the first
Three,
one and a
maybe.
half seasons were great.
Oh my
and
god!
then-
Again with him hating on season 2 because Zoom was Hunter Zolomon. He became a whiny puss.
He did.
No, he did. Zoom. I will say to this day, Zoom was the only character in that TV show that broke Barry. He broke him to the absolute.
Yeah,
breaking
he
point.
was cool then, but then after that, he sucked.
I'm gonna say this right now. Even though all of us were really angry, like on our top picks of last night's live stream, I think this guy was the most angry out of all of us. He was the most angry out of all of us combined, including.
I would love to see John's rage on Scream 5 because we
can watch it after this is done.
Okay,
but anyway, so let's try to end this.
Here's
before
the
it
hoping
goes
for
too
better
much
movies
out
in
of hand.
2022.
Yes.
To 2023.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Don't watch She-Hulk.
Okay, so this was the best. Tomorrow we're gonna be doing our anticipated for 2023, and then we're gonna after that we're gonna have our review for Megan, which is gonna be.
Come on, you can't lie. That was funny.
Fucking interesting, but yeah, that's it for now. See y'all next time.